AskReddit by deleted. What double standard in society goes generally unnoticed or without being called out? As someone in the legal field, court's not being on time. If you're late or not on time, good luck. But if the court is late or double booked etc., well, you can't really complain. This is also true in us healthcare. Don't be late. But you're going to have to wait even when you're on time. Oftentimes, even for the first appointment of the day. I cancel my flight and I still got a pay in full. You cancel my flight and I still got a pay in full. Pay for an extra hotel night, pay for 2 extra Uber trips, pay for 2 extra meals, and lose 1 extra PTO day. If you manage your disability well, despite the difficulties it presents, you're then not considered disabled enough to qualify for any of the social care support you most likely need to continue to manage your disability and live well. I tried to apply to live in an assisted living facility. I have cerebral palsy, have use of only my right hand and walk like a wounded duck. The worker handling my case told me I wasn't disabled enough to live there. I didn't know whether to be insulted or take that as a compliment, lol. Recently, my parents found me a condo with wheelchair access. I move in at the beginning of March. The first time I'll be living away from my parents. I'm 30 years old. I'm so excited. Justice. If you're rich, you can get a good lawyer and avoid jail. To quote Final Fantasy Tactics, if a penalty for a crime is a fine, then that law only exists for the lower class. Canceling appointments. If I cancel an appointment, I get charged $50, like a doctor or therapist. If I'm walking out the door and they call and cancel, no consequences. I wish they'd have cancelled last time this happened to me. I showed up and they just went, "Oh, the doctor's running 2 hours late. You couldn't tell me that this morning? This is a 10 o'clock appointment. I would have just come later." Being a morning person and getting up early to get a bunch of stuff done, then going to bed early, is considered virtuous and mature. Being a night person and staying up late to get stuff done, then sleeping late the next day, is considered disorganized and lazy. Even if you did the same amount of work and slept the same number of hours. I have colleagues who work 6 AM to 3 PM, and people constantly chirp about how efficient they are. But when someone at my office asked if they could work 11 AM to 8 PM because that fit better with their body's energy cycle, they were mocked for wanting to oversleep like a teenager, and the request was denied. I've literally been on a nearly nocturnal natural cycle my whole life, and it's been such a social burden for my most efficient hours to be 2100 hours to 5 o'clock. Attractive and popular people can get away with some foul shit compared to the average person. Most discouraging is that we have studies where teachers even treat cuter kids with positive bias. It starts really early, and no wonder it shapes people's entire personalities and expectations about how others interact with them. That in the US, disabled people need more money to afford healthcare, but they aren't legally allowed to have more than like $2,000 minus $2,500 in assets if they're on disability. And it's less if they're married. Does assets include their savings account? Asking for a friend. I saw a post on a Facebook group I'm in recently. It was a selfie of mother with her little boy in the backseat eating a pudding cup with no spoon, and she had captioned it, "Making sure he's making his future girlfriends happy," or something along those lines. I was disgusted by it. My boyfriend laughed. He tried to tell me I was being stuck up and a prig about it. I asked him if I was a father posting a picture of his daughter eating a popsicle and captioned it similar about making future boyfriends happy, "Would you feel the same way?" He looked like I slapped him in his face, but he instantly got what I was saying. Sexualizing children in any capacity is gross, and it even happens to little boys. People just need to do better and let kids simply be kids without putting sexual undertones to it. So fucking weird. I'm the mother of a boy and that thought would never have even crossed my mind if he ate out of a cup like that without a spoon. WTF. I don't like how people sexualize kids in general, like with the gross sayings on clothes, but people really do act like sexualizing boys is somehow more acceptable. It's gross no matter what. Pretending to take a cigarette break is more accepted than taking an actual break. And not just at work. Like, it's weird if I take 5 minutes to go outside, decompress, and breathe in some fresh air. But if I inhale toxic fumes from a burning plant while I do that, it's fine. I worked at a restaurant where everyone but a handful of people including me didn't smoke. I used to take smoke breaks. Then I got caught just chilling in the sun one too many times. It was BS. We feel so compassionate toward disabled people, but our policies require them to live life in deep poverty, with shitty medical care, while we run around saying how every life is precious. Sure. Yup, and they are not allowed to talk much about it or they get ostracized. We don't like feeling badly about the conditions they live in, but instead of changing them, we just exclude them or ask them to shut up about it and keep pretending that disability benefits support them just fine. I'm expected to make it through an entire workday while it's snowing outside, while children are allowed to stay home and drink hot chocolate and go sledding. Absolutely unfair. I'm 29. And 3-month summer breaks. As an adult I would spend that time much more wisely than these darn kids. Youth is wasted on the young s. If you make any mistake with money like overdraft, miss a payment, forget to pay tax, you get royally screwed and have to often pay even more in penalties and get no say in the matter. But if the banks, business, or insurance fucks up they owe you nothing and you often have to fight to get what you owe and often still lose out in money and time. I gotta give you 2 weeks notice I'ma quit, but you can fire me at any point. Nah fam. I've just walked out of jobs before. The reason you give a 2-week notice is to not burn bridges. If you don't need the reference and aren't ever going to reapply, quit however you feel like. Alcohol is the only drug people look down on you for not using. If you don't drink, they think it's because you have a problem, or you fucked up and now can't drink. Somehow, someway, it is all your fault and it's considered sus if you don't drink. Nobody questions why you don't do cocaine or weed. I'm extremely sensitive to the taste of alcohol so I don't drink because everything just tastes like alcohol to me. Anytime I mention this people are always like no bro you just haven't had the right beer whiskey tequila bourbon yet. It doesn't matter that I know many guys who take their alcohol very seriously and have tried some embarrassingly expensive liquors. They all taste more or less the same to me. I solely raised my daughter as a single father from the time she was a year old until she was almost 6 when I married my wife. The number of people who have asked about my daughter's mother just to reply with oh, she must have had PPD, or there must be a mental illness involved, or maybe she will come around in a few years, is absolutely staggering. Like no man, she just decided she wanted to go party instead of being a mom to our child. No child support. No financial or emotional contribution. Nothing. Hell, I couldn't even get a copy of my daughter's health insurance card when her old one expired because I wasn't on the paperwork despite the fact that I was the one who filled out the paperwork for it at the hospital the day after she was born. It's infuriating knowing full well that had the roles been reversed, and I'd have been the one to leave, I'd 100% instantly be considered a deadbeat father. As the daughter of a deadbeat mother, thank you on behalf of your daughter for being awesome. People with blinding headlights can shine them at your face because the car came that way, but you can't flash your high beams back at them to let them know that you can't see without being an asshole. It's the people that drive up close behind me at night with the bright ass headlights in my rearview mirror that drive me nuts. Especially when there are 2 lanes going the same direction and I'm in the right lane. Like get in the left lane and stop riding my ass please, and no one else is on the road at night. Sometimes I purposely slow down so they'll pass me. If you apply to a job and they waste your time and behave unprofessionally, it's just business. If you do it, you're unprofessional, flaky and rude. Rich people don't face consequences for crimes like normal people at all. Fines were designed to punish the poor and let the rich get away with disregard for society. Bail was also designed this way because it means your ability to get out of jail is dependent on the size of your bank account. People should not be fined for crimes or be able to get out of them with money, period. I've seen people on Reddit say that fines proportionate to income punish rich people for being rich, but fines that somehow don't punish poor people for being poor. Whenever a kid is victimized, it's horrible. But the second they turn 18 or look 18, all sympathy goes out the window as you're now expendable. Poor people get audited if they fail to report a few $100s of taxes, while multi-billion-dollar companies technically operate outside of the country and pay nothing. To be fair, multi-billion-dollar companies get the shit audited out of them. Just, their tax lawyers are better than our tax lawyers. People are told to talk to each other about grievances they are having, but they are also expected to not complain to each other. Just because your hardship wasn't as hard as someone else's means you can't be sad about it. People caring about mental health unless it's a really icky one like schizophrenia or narcissism. Lots of people care about your mental health right up until the point where it actually inconveniences them. Governments allowing themselves to do what they've banned others from doing. Like insider trading. One time a man unfamiliar with our facility accidentally used the boys' locker room, instead of the men's, to change before working out, middle of the day, no kids around because they're in school, and everybody freaked the fuck out. I 100% know it was an honest mistake. The guy was so embarrassed because of how the staff reacted, while on the other hand adult women routinely use the girls' locker room because it's too crowded, or whatever the excuse, etc. This was allowed by management for a long time. Finally got that policy enforced equally when I confronted it after we all had the implicit bias training. Edit probably file this under our unpopular opinion, but someone asked and it is what it is. To be clear, the policy was only adults accompanying young children that need assistance are allowed in the youth locker rooms. The classism inherent in judging the poor for the same behaviors as the wealthy. I have an uncle on my dad's side who is a literal fucking brain surgeon. Dude drinks like a fish, has a home bar fully stocked and well lit, even with a painting put up like in an old saloon. I also have an uncle on my mom's side. He works for the local water company. He likes to sit in his garage every night and drink Jack and Cokes, all while he listens to music or plays a little darts. Guess which one I've heard the extended family talk more shit about for their drinking? I'll give you a hint. It's the same one I like to play a little darts with from time to time. I'm American, so I'm not sure if this happens in other countries, and Christian people when they sit at your dinner table and do the guilt thing right before you eat saying wait, aren't we going to pray first, and even the non-religious people look guilty and pretend to pray. It took me until my 30s to realize the double standard. If I were another religion and sat at their table and insisted we pray to my God, they likely wouldn't take so kindly to it. Now I say you're welcome to pray, but I'm going to go ahead and start eating. Once had a customer at work wish me a happy Kwanzaa, to which I naturally responded thank you. You as well. The customer behind them said I didn't know they let people like that work here. Mom, I have never once celebrated Kwanzaa, but it was kind of them to wish me a happy Kwanzaa, so of course I returned the sentiment. People. SMH. Gay men making misogynistic jokes. The number of gay men referring to women as fishy or gross is alarming, but if you say anything it's no big deal because it's girl talk. Body hair. It's unhygienic. Dart. For women only? Women can be nurses or teach or have a field working with children, and they are angels, saints, beautiful people. Men nurses or caregivers must be gay, or a pedophile or a creep. Most places live to have male nurses. It's because they can lift people and supposedly deal with violent patients without getting hurt. Which are bad, not necessarily correct reasons, but still. The standards men and women both seem to hold each other yet not fulfill themselves is something I'm worried is so embedded that it may not ever change. The justice system. There's definitely multiple justice systems depending on things like class and race. While it's definitely noticed, it's not like anything is actually being done about it, so by practical standards it goes unnoticed. Every culture has an animal protein they consider disgusting or filthy or not worthy of human consumption. Or they say that some animal doesn't deserve to be eaten. It's all arbitrary, none of them are humans, we can't converse with any, they all have the instinct to live. I got no qualms with ending non-human lives for consumption, so long as they aren't endangered. Just pointing out the hypocrisy of crying about a dog or pig being eaten but being okay with a chicken. Or saying a bug is gross but you're eating a cow's butt crack. Racism coming from all races. Having to poop every day, I am a man, while women go their entire life without pooping once. Can confirm 21 years without shitting. Almost at the 22 mark. I'm going for the world record. A mother with her children is being a parent. A father doing the same is babysitting. A person telling you if you don't do X for a living, your opinion isn't valid, then they go on to give their opinion on something they don't do for a living. In a work environment, women who are assertive or show frustration often get labeled as bitchy or emotional. Meanwhile, men who lose their tempers, shit talk, yell, and can't handle criticism rarely get called out as assholes or overly emotional. People get pissed off when min wage increases but say fuck all about billionaires avoiding taxes. Casual racism against certain skin colors. It's never okay to discriminate against someone based on something out of their control. I work and interact with a lot of black and Mexican people during my job. I work in construction, and the amount of casual racism is oddly directed at other black people or other Central American or Spanish speaking people. Like the amount of casual racism and comments is insane sometimes. Oddly enough, everyone seems to idolize the whole upper middle class McMansion white people culture. If you're white and have a somewhat significant amount of money, the attitude towards you is completely different and respectful. When Miley Cyrus gets naked and licks a hammer, she is artistic or edgy. When I do it, I'm drunk and no longer allowed at Home Depot. Perfectly fine for society to dislike cats because they're thankless pets and whatnot, but if you dislike dogs you're labeled an untrustworthy sociopath. A coworker asked me if I had any pets. I said I have cats, and help foster too. They replied with the only good cat is a dead cat, no offense. I didn't then, however I think next time I will just nod my head and say same with dogs too. Taking money from the government. It's fine if you're rich, but if you're poor, you're a leech on society. It's illegal to use your phone while driving but fine for there to be giant billboards literally designed to steal your attention on the side of the road. Charging women more for products catered to them and men less for their products of the same, razors and such.